Hello everybody and welcome to episode 2 of my pickups. Being that it's October, I have a lot of horror games here to show you today, so please sit back, relax, and enjoy the pickups. The first game I'd like to show you today is a game that I hold in high regard. Undertale is an individually developed and published game by Toby Fox. The game itself is an RPG that has had significant influence from Earthbound, a retro RPG in which as a teenager Toby Fox made a name for himself with his Halloween hack. Being that Undertale is one of my personal favourite games, I had to purchase the PS4 port, which was released by Fangamer. The story revolves around a child who falls into an underground world inhabited by monsters, and it's the player's objective to reach the surface while meeting various monsters along the way. While this is a very superficial synopsis of Undertale, the game itself is among the most compelling and reflective stories I've ever experienced. In addition to this, the game's soundtrack is masterful. If you take anything away from this video, please make it that you must play this game at some point in your life. Undertale is a game that has changed my understanding of what makes an effective and thoughtful gaming experience, and I'm sure it will resonate with you also. Next up, I have a couple of special releases from a company called Limited Rare Games, not to be mistaken for Limited Run Games. The first game of this batch is titled 88 Antarctica. 88 Antarctica is published and developed by a company called Euphoria Games, previously known as Epixa Games. The game is largely inspired by the classic horror film The Thing. The story follows a Russian who is investigating the disappearance of his father at an Antarctic work camp. During his investigation, he encounters a number of enemies who seem to have contributed to the disappearance of his father and his crew. 88 Antarctica isn't a long game, and it can easily be completed in a short single sitting. Despite this, I'm glad to have had this addition to my collection. The next game I have from Limited Rare Games is Death Park. Death Park is another game developed and published by Euphoria Games, and from my understanding, it's the first of their games to be ported to the PlayStation 4. Like the previous game, Death Park draws upon horror films as inspiration, drawing significantly from the film It. Death Park takes place in an abandoned amusement park where the objective is to solve puzzles while avoiding a killer clown in order to escape. The game itself is an amusing game to play, but like 88 Antarctica, it is a game in which can be completed in a short single sitting. Additionally, you can play both Death Park and 88 Antarctica on mobile for free, so if these games intrigue you, it might be worth checking them out either on Apple or Android devices before purchasing a copy for the PlayStation 4. The last Limited Rare game I have is a title called Redillum. Redillum is Euphoria Games' most recent title and Limited Rare Games' last PS4 release. It is a black and white game following the story of the main protagonist who is attempting to find a witch. Outside of this information, there really isn't much else online to describe the game, however there is a lot of intriguing information relating to Limited Rare Games' release of the title. The last thing that I'll say about these games is that they're all pretty cool pieces of gaming history, and I'm delighted to have these 3 releases in my collection. If they happen to interest you as well, be sure to keep an eye out for them online, as they were all published in very limited quantities at about 1,000 pieces each. Next up I have the first 3 releases in the Dark Pictures anthology, which is developed by Supermassive Games and published by Bandai Namco. First in the anthology is Man of Medan, which begins with a flashback set in Manchuria just after World War II. After the prologue, Man of Medan follows 4 friends on a diving expedition to discover a rumoured World War II wreckage. For those of you who are unaware of the Dark Pictures anthology, they are interactive horror dramas where the player must make decisions to progress the storyline. Other games of the nature include Until Dawn and The Quarry, which are also published by Supermassive Games. What I enjoy about this concept is that the decisions to be made can be unforgivable if you make the wrong choices. This means that you must make every decision count if you want to make a successful end to the story.
What the hell?
Here is the next release in the Dark Pictures anthology, Little Hope. Little Hope begins at the residence of the Clark family, who are experiencing some family turmoil. After a series of events, the story transitions to the modern day, revolving around the town of Little Hope, where 4 college students and a teacher have become stranded after a bus crash. In their search for an exit from the town, the characters must overcome a mysterious fog, which brings haunting visions from the past. This concept reminds me a lot of The Fog by John Carpenter and the Silent Hill series. So if you like either of these two, it might be a good idea to check out Little Hope of the Dark Pictures anthology.
Come on, man. Take some time off from being a dick and give her a break.
Okay, Mother Superior. Why are you always sticking up for her anyway?
Damn ice. I'm going to start climbing through the window unless that door gets fixed. How's things? Let me guess. He's been pumping iron again?
They've been at each other's throats since Dad got home.
What's it about this time?
He nearly fell through the front door. Some dad we got, huh?
Lastly from my Dark Pictures pickups is the 3rd installment of the anthology, House of Ashes. House of Ashes begins in ancient Mesopotamia during an invasion of Akkad, and after a series of events unfold, a greater concern emerges, changing the course of history. The game then transitions to the 2003 invasion of Iraq, where 5 protagonists search for chemical weapons. However, after a discovery, they realise that they've stumbled upon something far deadlier than chemical weapons. I really look forward to playing the Dark Pictures anthology games, as I'm yet to experience an interactive horror drama. So if you're like me and enjoy horror games and films, why not give these games a try?
Their sacrifice will take time.
Time is no longer in our hands. No matter. The blood of this army will nourish the sands. The sacrifice will be fulfilled. Starting with this one. Tell me, General, does she remind you of anyone?
My king?
Do you not see a hint of your own daughter in her? What age would she have been now?
18.
18. What a tragedy this plague has been.
Next I have a game that I purchased simply because it intrigued me. Indica is a third-person story-driven game following a nun who experiences clashing religious visions. As a consequence, the other nuns look down upon Indica, which leads her to eventually set out from her monastery to deliver a letter to the neighbouring monastery. What drew me to this game is that I've seen it labelled as a comedy and a tragedy similar to the works of Dostoevsky. Additionally, the 19th century setting of Russia is a setting in which I am curious to explore. I think that once I complete the current game that I am playing, I will be looking into this one, as from the little gameplay that I experienced while recording this footage was enough to draw me in for some more.
For the sake of the prayers of all the... Stesha, do you have something prepared for Smaragda? It's cold today, isn't it? Oh, potatoes. Thank you. Thank you.
The sisters loved Indica. Christian love is known to be patient, merciful, and faithful. However, in a lowly human sense, they didn't love her that much. To be completely honest, they didn't love her at all.
Lastly, I have a game titled Evil Inside. Evil Inside is a game developed and published by Gendusoft and distributed physically by Ultra Collectors. The game revolves around a man who, in an attempt to contact his dead mother, traps himself in a spiritual world. In order to escape the ordeal, he must repair the fragments of a Ouija board while experiencing paranormal events. Through his experience, we'll come to terms with the reality of his mother's death and the situation at hand. Now, this is a pickup that I'm really happy to have made for the collection, as I feel it is unique to see physical games attempting to replicate PT. While the game could never live up to PT standards, it's a fun experience to see a PT clone outside of digital releases. However, like PT, the game is a short affair, taking around 2 hours to complete, so be sure to remember this if you are going to seek a copy for yourself. If you made it to this point of the video, thank you for watching. If you would like to see more of these pickup videos, please consider subscribing, or let me know some games you would like to see in any future videos down in the comments section.